You cut vegetables with a steel knife today. It's so routine that you hardly notice. Steel is in your kitchen, your tools, perhaps even your car. But somewhere a very long time ago, humans discovered a groundbreaking process by pure chance. The first known evidence of steel dates back to Anatolia, around 1800 BCE, although some researchers believe it may have been produced earlier. Archaeologists have found tools and weapons from this era, solid proof of ancient innovation. The first key idea is something called accidental metallurgy. This is essentially the idea that many early metallurgical discoveries were unintentional. Imagine an ancient blacksmith working with iron, a metal known for its durability, but also its brittleness. While heating iron ore in a rudimentary furnace mixed with charcoal, something unexpected happened. At temperatures around 1200 degrees Celsius, carbon atoms from the charcoal diffused into the iron, creating a new alloy, steel. This new material proved to be much tougher and more malleable than pure iron. To illustrate, consider the ancient Hittites, who lived in what is now modern-day Turkey. They were among the earliest civilizations to manipulate iron, and they inadvertently created steel. Archaeological evidence points to tools and weapons dating back to 1200 BCE, showing signs of this remarkable alloy. These artifacts, some of which include detailed daggers and robust agricultural tools, reveal a high level of craftsmanship. Fast forward to ancient India, around 300 BCE, where a process known as wood steel was developed. This involved melting iron with carbon in a sealed clay pot, producing steel that was both hard and flexible. But here's where it gets puzzling. Not all early cultures that discovered steel continued to use or refine the technique. Han Dynasty China is the clearest example. Chinese metalworkers had cast iron centuries before Europe did, and they worked out how to burn the excess carbon out of it to make steel. But cast iron never went away. It stayed the everyday metal because it could be poured in bulk and was adequate for a wide range of applications, whereas steel required more precise temperature control and resources. It challenges our assumption that technological advancements always lead to a straight road of progress. This brings us back to our bigger question. Why did steel become a lasting invention while others faded? The secret lies in its unmatched properties that catered to the needs of growing civilizations, offering strength and versatility for tools, weapons, and construction alike. But how did people even recognize that they could enhance iron in the first place? The answer is cultural diffusion, the spread of ideas and technologies through trade and conquest. Early steel-making techniques didn't just stay put in one region. They spread across continents, influencing other cultures and sparking further innovation. During the Roman Empire, steel was carried across Europe, and the secrets of its production were passed on to various tribes and cultures. The Romans themselves used steel for their famous gladii, short swords that were essential to their military success. We see similar sharing with the Japanese in the 8th century, who refined steel into what we know as tamahagane, used for crafting samurai swords. A fascinating example of cultural diffusion is the Viking Age, around 800 CE. The Vikings, through their trade routes and conquests, assimilated advanced metallurgical skills from different cultures. They crafted Ulfbert swords with steel that was superior to many contemporary weapons, showcasing a perfect blend of strength and flexibility. These swords were so advanced for their time that they carried inscriptions, implying a trademark of quality that was recognized and revered. But diffusion wasn't always foolproof. Some civilizations, like the Greeks during the classical period, had access to iron but never developed steelmaking on a significant scale. This could be attributed to geographical isolation or a lack of necessity, as bronze remained their preferred metal for centuries. Their reliance on bronze was due partly to its established trade networks for tin and copper, which were easier to control than the variable quality of iron ores. Understanding cultural diffusion helps us appreciate how interconnected human societies have always been, especially in sharing groundbreaking ideas.
So how did they control such demanding processes without modern chemistry to guide them? Enter the concept of empirical experimentation.
Ancient metallurgists were essentially early scientists. They learned through trial and error, observing the effects of different temperatures, materials, and methods. An example of this is the Chinese during the Tang dynasty, who innovated a furnace design that could reach higher temperatures, crucial for producing quality steel. Evidence shows that by 11th century CE, they were using blast furnaces, capable of reaching temperatures exceeding 1500 degrees Celsius, and had developed a method to produce steel more consistently than before. In another part of the world, Damascus steel became legendary for its strength and ability to hold a sharp edge. Produced from wood steel imported from India, it was admired in the Middle East from the 9th century onwards. Craftsmen experimented with different cooling and forging techniques to create the distinct patterns and properties of Damascus steel. The unique banding of Damascus steel, often compared to flowing water, was not only aesthetic, but also indicative of its superior performance. But there's a twist. Some techniques were lost over time. The secrets of Damascus steel, for example, vanished by the 18th century. Researchers speculate that changes in raw materials or geopolitical disruptions led to its decline. This loss highlights how fragile the chain of knowledge can be without systematic documentation. The disappearance of the Indian mines that supplied the high-quality ore needed for woods added another layer of complexity to this mystery. Experimentation without formal training defined ancient innovation, and it makes us wonder, how did these societies ensure that such valuable knowledge was preserved and transmitted? Consider the role of apprenticeship and oral traditions. These were the universities of their time, informal yet vital systems for passing down knowledge. Skilled craftsmen would take on apprentices who would spend years learning the detailed aspects of metalwork, including the elusive art of steelmaking. This method was prevalent across diverse cultures, from the blacksmiths of medieval Europe to the artisans of ancient Japan. Take the guilds of medieval Europe. From the 11th century, these organizations were responsible for maintaining high standards in craft and trade, including metalworking. They ensured that techniques were taught comprehensively and that the secrets of the craft remained within the guild. Guild records, though limited, do provide some written documentation of techniques and standards, offering a glimpse into the transfer of knowledge. However, reliance on oral traditions and apprenticeships also came with risks. The absence of written records meant that knowledge could be easily lost if a master blacksmith or craftsman died without passing on their skills. In contrast, the Islamic world, with its emphasis on scholarship, documented many technological processes, which allowed them to surpass earlier methods and further advance the knowledge of metallurgy. Notable Islamic scholars, such as Al-Kindi and Al-Razi, contributed significantly to the scientific writings that preserved techniques and inspired future generations. This transmission of knowledge through generations highlights how human ingenuity relies on learning and teaching. But how did the process of steelmaking evolve from these early methods to what we see today? The transition from small-scale, artisanal steel production to industrial manufacturing was a turning point. It began in the late 18th century with the advent of the Industrial Revolution. A pivotal development was the Bessemer process, invented by Henry Bessemer in 1856. This method allowed for the mass production of steel by blowing air through molten iron to reduce the carbon content, creating steel that was affordable and abundant. The process could produce 5 tons of steel in just 30 minutes, whereas traditional methods took a full day. Another crucial innovation was the open hearth furnace, which emerged in the late 19th century. It allowed for better control over the composition of steel, leading to production on a massive scale. This was a game changer, enabling the production of railway tracks, bridges, and skyscrapers, essentially building the backbone of modern industrial society. By the early 20th century, the United States alone was producing over 24 million tons of steel annually, a reflection of the scale achieved through industrial advancements. Yet, even with these advancements, challenges remained. Earlier steel could be brittle due to impurities. The introduction of new processes like the basic oxygen steelmaking and electric arc furnaces in the 20th century addressed these issues, leading to the high-quality steel we use today. These innovations significantly reduced the time and cost of production while enhancing the material's quality. Industrial scaling transformed steel from a luxury to a staple, highlighting how innovation can revolutionize materials used daily. So, how did these industrial techniques spread globally, influencing modern economies and infrastructures? Here's where we touch on global integration and standardization. As steel production expanded, so did the need for uniform standards. Why? Because consistency in quality and specifications was crucial for international trade and construction. The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, founded in 1947, played a significant role in creating global standards for steel, ensuring reliability and safety. These standards covered everything from chemical composition to tensile strength, facilitating global trade and engineering practices. For example, the United States adopted the Bessemer process in the late 19th century, rapidly catching up with European steel production. This laid the groundwork for the construction of iconic infrastructures like the Brooklyn Bridge and the railroads that linked the nation. Similarly, Japan's post-war economic boom heavily relied on its steel industry, which was rebuilt with the latest technologies from the West, enabling rapid modernization. By the 1980s, Japan had become the world's leading steel producer, setting benchmarks for efficiency and quality. However, standardization also had its growing pains. Initially, there was resistance due to national pride and existing local practices. Over time, the undeniable benefits of integration, like improved trade relations and reduced costs, led to widespread acceptance. Merging various national standards into a coherent global framework was a monumental task, but it ultimately fostered innovation and quality improvements. The global spread and standardization of steel production exemplify how interconnected our world has become, driven by mutual needs and shared standards. It's a testament showing how a discovery made millennia ago continues to shape our modern landscape. So, what does this ongoing saga with steel tell us about human progress? A concept we haven't yet explored is adaptive optimization. This refers to the continuous process of refining existing technologies to better serve a changing world. As we've seen, steel's path didn't stop at its invention. Instead, it evolved with human needs. During the 20th century, advancements such as microalloying allowed for the creation of specialized steel grades, with added elements like manganese, nickel, and chromium enhancing specific properties like toughness, corrosion resistance, and weldability.
Consider the automotive industry. Today, high-strength, low-alloy, HSLA steel is used extensively in car manufacturing. These steels, developed since the 1970s, offer weight reduction while maintaining structural integrity, crucial for improving fuel efficiency and safety standards in vehicles. The adoption of such materials reflects an ongoing commitment to improving performance and sustainability. For instance, a modern car might contain over 60% advanced high-strength steel, contributing to its crashworthiness and energy efficiency. On the flip side, the steel industry faces environmental challenges, particularly concerning carbon emissions. This has led to efforts in developing green steel through technologies like hydrogen-based direct reduction. It's a move towards minimizing carbon footprints while meeting global demands for steel, highlighting an essential balance between industrial growth and environmental responsibility. Companies are now investing in carbon capture and storage technologies to further reduce emissions, aiming for a more sustainable future. Adaptive optimization underscores human ingenuity in making steel not just a relic of the past, but a continually evolving material vital to our future. How does this tale of constant refinement mirror our broader quest for progress and sustainability? At the core, it's a story of adaptability and innovation. From the first accidental discovery to the high-tech processes today, steel's evolution mirrors our own human development. We took a challenging process and refined it across generations, cultures, and continents. Steel is more than a metal. It's a symbol of human perseverance and the relentless pursuit of improvement. The next time you pick up a steel tool, remember the centuries of trial, error, and inspiration that brought it to your hand. It's not just an object. It's a connection to the past, a reminder of our shared human ingenuity, and a tribute to the wonders we can achieve when curiosity meets grit.